Hey guys, EBPMAN here. Now in today's video, we're going to take a look at the Sony WF1000XM4 and compare them against the new Bose QuietComfort. We're going to do an EBPMAN style audio test, call quality test, and we're going to talk about all the features. So let's get right to it. Now this comparison between the Bose QuietComfort and the Sony's is pretty well matched for several reasons. Not only do we have similar features, especially in the active noise canceling, but we also have some other audio features that are quite interesting as well. But before we get into that, we're going to take a look at the battery life. And from a battery life perspective, I give it to the Sony's. Now the Sony's have just superior battery life when it comes to the overall usage. You're looking at 8 hours, and you're also looking at 12 hours with active noise canceling off, and that kind of just blows Bose out of the water. Bose, you're only going to get 7 hours. And the reason why I even give it to them, even though that with the case on the Bose, you're going to get 28 hours of total usage compared to the 24 hours on the Sony's, is because you could use these independently. You can use one in one ear and leave it set aside and then switch to the other, which really gives you a lot of flexibility. The Bose, you know what? They still haven't addressed that. So you can only use one earbud at a time. So, and actually is, let me just correct that. The only one that you can use individually is going to be the right. If you try that with the left, if like you put your right away, it is going to basically not function, right? So that's why I would give it to them. So you're going to get, up to 12 hours with these, 24 hours with the actual case, and then 5-minute fast charging is going to give you an hour, despite the fact that with the Bose, they do decently well. You're looking at about 7 hours with 20 hours total usage, and then 10 minutes is going to give you an hour and a half of use. So that, in that area, it's a little bit more superior. Now from a Bluetooth perspective, again, it just has to do with the Sony's being newer, right? So you have 5.2 versus 5.1. We talked about the fact that you can use the Sony's independently, which really takes it there. Sony's do have 3D audio, right? So they have a 3D audio feature. The Bose doesn't. We're talking about active or the auto pause feature. There's a lot of configuration options, so they're going to be equal in that area. Adaptive, active noise canceling. They both have great active noise canceling. Actually, I was really struggling to hear like which one was better. And there's a couple things that really help Sony, is that when we take a look at the design, the one thing about the Bose that we see here is that the Bose, the earpiece, because it's silicone based and it goes in your ear and it creates a super duper tight seal, you're going to have it almost feels like it has a better experience. But I'm going to give them equal in this category because of the actual seal that you get. You just get an incredible seal because of that kind of silicone gel. So active noise canceling, I'm going to give them more or less the same. I think that the passive, or actually the transparency mode, is better on the Sony, so I'm going to give that to the Sony's. From a mic perspective, both of them have 2 mics, but the one thing that the Sony has is that bone conduction feature that is supposed to give you superior call quality. But we're going to see that because, let's face it, Bose has, lately, they have great call quality. So we're going to do that comparison, and you'll see that in a little bit. From an IPX rating, IPX4, both. And then from an iOS and Android, you have support on both sides for that. So they're going to be equal in that category. But one other area that I would say Sony crushes it is with that chat feature. The fact that you can have stuff going on, and as soon as you speak, to me, that's a game changer. The fact that it just switches and you can hear what's going on around you, your audio will pause. I think that that's something that just, every earbud should have. Now, next we'll take a look at the cases and the overall appearance. So when you take a look at the cases here, no competition. Sony takes it. Look at the size. This is ginormous. We said this in the original review. I don't know why Bose did this. You do get 4 additional hours, but is it really worth it? When you look at this, it's not pocketable at all. It takes up too much space. It does have LEDs in the front. You have your USB-C in the back. Your buds do guide, right? So they guide nicely in place. Sony's, I just like the implementation much more. You have the same features, right? USB-C and everything, but I just like this, the fact that they're so compact and they could go anywhere. They can fit in your pocket, front pocket, back pocket, purse, or backpack. Now the last thing about the cases is that they both support wireless charging, so they're equal in that area. Now from a look, oh my god, are they different, right? So, I will give, personally, I prefer the look of the Sony's because I like how small they are. So this is what they look like. So this one, you can see the actual look. The design of the earpieces are also different, so you can see the type of earpiece. I want to say that Sony has great stabilization, or I mean the actual Bose do. And as we take a look at each of these, They both have similar features when it comes to no physical buttons, so all the controls are tap, and then also they all have some really cool sensors. But if I put this one on, and you know what you do is you twist like this to get this in, and then I do the same thing with this one right here, and then you twist. This is the difference in how they look. So I'm going to turn to the right. All right, I'm going to turn to the left. Now the one thing that you notice immediately is that even though you know, as you look at the Sonys right here, you do see they stand out a little bit more. Let me put my face straight like that, so they come out a little bit. And then when you look at the Bose, while they're bigger and they do stand out, they do tuck away a little bit more because of how they're long, and they kind of go with the curvature of your face. So watch, I'll turn this way a little bit so you can see how quickly it disappears versus these guys, right? These guys tend to stand out a little bit more. But again, that's going to vary based on your face. Comfort perspective, they both are super comfortable. I have heard complaints, you know, with the Bose because of the fit and the actual wingtip that's right here. While it gives you great stability, some people complain from pain after longer hours of use. That's going to vary based on your ears and you know what your tolerance is. From a comfort perspective, I'm going to give them almost equal value. But what I will say is that as I'm speaking, that superior seal really makes a difference when it comes to active noise canceling and audio. Now from an audio perspective, these are, it's kind of difficult for me because the Sonys have such a great seal and so do the Bose, but the Bose with their design that you see here, when I put these in my ear and I lock them in, it's like earplugs. At least for my ears, and you can see, we'll put it to the side right there, for my ears, it's like earplugs. It really seals it out. With or without active noise canceling, it does a great job. When I do that with the Sonys, I get a good seal as well. It's a great seal, but I can tell as I'm speaking, right now I hear my voice come through the Sonys more than I do with the Bose. And I don't have transparency on it. This is just, you know, as I'm hearing, like if you put earplugs in your ear. I think that the Bose gives you the better seal. Now, over time though, feedback that I've received and I've experienced as well is that using the Bose for extended periods of time, depending on your ears, this is my ears, they tend to hurt after a while. I haven't experienced that yet with the Sonys. Now, the other thing I'll say is, because of that great seal, the audio is just really good. Like the Bose, you're talking about the bass, mids, and highs. The immersion is really good because of the great seal that it has. But once again, you're trading off comfort, and then you're also trading off battery life. So if you look at the battery life and you think about the comfort, you have to make the decision, which one would you go with? If I had to choose, I would choose the one that gives me the best battery life. I want something that's going to be longer. If that's, again, what's important to you. From an IPX rating also, you know, these are going to be safe for using them in the gym. They should be okay. But again, even though the audio quality is great on both of these, because of the actual battery life, I'm actually leaning more towards the Sonys. But from an audio perspective, I want you to listen to the next track so that you can hear how they sound, and you can be the judge of which one sounds best.
Look at me like I'm crazy when I shut my feelings out. You look at me like I'm different, still you stay cause you feel something real. Get so lost in my moments, doesn't mean I don't need you. I fell in love with your colors, they kinda tell me what I'm thinking. Like I'm crazy when I shut my feelings out. You look at me like I'm different, still you stay cause you feel something real. Get so lost in my moments, doesn't mean I don't need you. I fell in love with your colors, they kinda tell me what I'm thinking. I fell
Now next we're going to do a call quality test of the Bose QuietComforts in a quiet environment. And as we take a look at our decibel readings, it's around 28 to 30 decibels in noise. Let's go to switch. Now this is what the call quality would sound like making a phone call with the QuietComfort from Bose in a quiet environment. This is a test, 1, 2, 3, this is our test. Now we'll add some wind to the environment. Now this is what the QuietComfort earbuds from Bose would sound like with wind in the environment. This is a test, 1, 2, 3, this is our test. Now this is what the QuietComforts would sound like if you have the face mask on. This is what they would sound like with a face mask on. Now we're continuing our test of the QuietComforts from Bose, but this time in a noisy environment. As you can see here, our decibel readings are anywhere between 40 and 80 decibels in noise. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be switching. We're going to stay quiet to see how much of the noise is being canceled, and then we'll continue with the audio test. Let's go to switch. Now this is what the QuietComforts sound like in a noisy environment. This is the test, 1, 2, 3, this is our test. We're continuing our test of the QuietComfort, but this time with an infant crying in the background. This is what they would sound like if an infant was crying in the background. Now if you're curious what the QuietComfort from Bose are going to sound like with a dog barking in the background, this is what they would sound like if the dog was barking in the background. Now if you're wondering what they would sound like if a doorbell was ringing, this is what they would sound like if a doorbell was ringing. Now next we're going to do our call quality test of the Sony WF1000XM4s in a quiet environment. Let's take a look at our decibel readings. Anywhere between 20 and 28 decibels in noise. Let's go to switch. Now this is what the call quality would sound like when making a phone call on the Sony WF1000XM4s in a quiet environment. This is a test, 1, 2, 3, this is our test. Now we're going to add wind to the environment. This is what the Sony WF1000XM4s sound like in a windy environment. This is a test, 1, 2, 3, this is a test. This is what the Sony WF1000XM4s sound like in a windy environment. Now we're continuing our test of the Sony WF1000XM4s, but this time with the face mask on. This is what they sound like with the face mask on. Now we're continuing our audio test, but this time in a noisy environment. As you can see by our decibel readings, we have anywhere between 40 and 78 decibels in noise. What we're going to do is we're going to switch to the Sony WF1000XM4s. We're going to stay quiet, and then we're going to continue to record the audio coming from the voice, just to see how much is being canceled out. Let's go to switch. Now this is what the call quality would sound like when making a phone call with the Sony WF1000XM4s in a noisy environment. This is our test, 1, 2, 3, this is our test. Now we're continuing our test of the Sony WF1000XM4s, but with an infant crying in the background. This is what they would sound like with an infant crying in the background. We're continuing our test of the Sony WF1000XM4s, but this time with a dog barking in the background. This is what they would sound like if a dog were barking in the background. Now we're continuing our test of the Sony WF1000XM4s, but with a doorbell ringing in the background. This is what they would sound like if a doorbell was ringing in the background. So guys, that wraps up our comparison review between the Sony WF1000XM4s and the Bose QuietComfort. See you in the next one.